Hey everyone. Hey everyone. We should be live now. Um all you guys got to do is click the link. You already know how to do this.
Everyone. We
So let's get started. Today is a cool episode. We're going to talk about a couple of things. But let me tag a few of my friends that are just outside of the room waiting. We're gonna cover two things. Well, maybe a few, but mostly we're gonna be talking about Unguarded. Um and we're gonna talk about a few other matchups that we discussed in the group before. Um One that I brought up earlier this week was you know me basically saying that T Mac and Paul George are pretty much the same player. So I'm gonna give this a few more minutes while I do some tagging. But yeah, we're gonna have a fun show today. Recently, like I mentioned, the book Unguarded was released, and it was a book that I feel was when people promote their new things, they have like controversial topics, and this was definitely controversial, but I think it went a little bit too far. So just give me 1 second. We're gonna um share this to friends and see. Okay, so I think I got this right. I'm gonna share the YouTube also. We're on YouTube, by the way, so um that is also something that I want you to tell your friends about. We have 2MW Sports .com. But we're gonna wait a couple of seconds while we wait for my co-host Jeremy. So tag a friend, tag a friend, tag a friend. Okay. So Jeremy is already in the room, so we're gonna get go ahead and start. Anyway, I'm excited because um this book is sort of like a follow up to The Last Dance. And The Last Dance, as everybody remembered, was like a very well needed sports television production by Michael Jordan, who outlined in maybe like 10 or so episodes. Why am I blurred? 10 or so episodes, like the last Bulls run. And Scottie Pippen had a problem with it. Now the book starts really, and when I say start, I mean past chapter one. So everyone starts a book at chapter one. You really have to read the prologue to kind of get the the ether. I call it the ether that Pippen has for Michael Jordan. It's kind of jarring and sad. Sorry, give me 1 second. My camera doesn't like my distance. It's pretty jarring and sad. Because in my opinion, and my opinion could be different than anybody else's. Um, Michael Jordan did not disrespect Scottie Pippen. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Just gotta change the setting. Thank you. All right. So Scottie Pippen did not disrespect Michael Jordan to me in The Last Dance, but you can't tell Scottie Pippen that. Um, in the prologue, he just hammers The Last Dance, which means this book was written pretty recently, and it doesn't take that long to write a book. But it was written so in the heat of the moment that I wonder if in the future he's gonna go back and change his mind or apologize. Um, he believes that The Last Dance should have been less about Michael Jordan and more about the team. And it sounds pretty innocent, right? That he would think that The Last Dance should be more about the team, but he um he takes it to another level. He says that he called other teammates, or other teammates spoke to him and said that they too felt like they were slighted in the with The Last Dance. That, as we've talked about before, Michael Jordan made quote unquote 10 million from the film or the production. I think Jeremy noted weeks ago that that money was given to charity, and that the team received nothing. They were pretty much props to Michael Jordan's production, and it was just a love fest on Michael Jordan, and it shouldn't have been. That was his um opening scene. And it led me to believe that perhaps he was misunderstood about the project, or he still has gripes with Michael Jordan getting attention. And he was very, very, very hurt about it. Now, one key thing that he said is that right after The Last Dance, Michael Jordan texted him. And Michael Jordan said, I think we should talk, because, he feels that Pippen may have been upset with him. And then Pippen in the book says he waited a couple days. He didn't want to talk to Michael Jordan right away about the Last Dance, but Michael Jordan knew he had done something, because he wouldn't have called, he wouldn't have texted. And then he said, and this is the part that really, really got me a little bit upset, and the title, and caused me to entitle this Scottie Pippen and Why He's Going to Lose a Lot of Friends. He said that right after The Last Dance, he also got a text from John Paxson. And John Paxson basically said that he got his number, Pippen's number, from management, and that he wanted to track him down to say that he is appreciated, basically. And that, everybody knew of Scottie Pippen's value to the teams, and that he shouldn't think that he wasn't appreciated, because he was, and that he'd like to talk some more. So he got on the phone with John Paxson and spoke for a while. When I said a while, he said a few minutes, whatever. The part that got me about this is that John Paxson genuinely reached out to him. And in that conversation noted by Scottie Pippen in the book, John Paxson got very emotional on the call. And basically, John Paxson cried on the phone about just the whole situation, and how he felt Pippen may have been mistreated in some instances during his career, but that he wanted to know that he was appreciated. And that aspect was past the team game, Jeremy. Pippen was brought back to the team. Pippen was like a figure within the team, as far as like appearances. They had eventually sent him for some recruiting things, and then ultimately he was I guess he got on the jump. He did his own thing, but he did a little bit of thing. And during that time, John Paxson was a key executive at um for
Chicago.
at
GM.
Chicago, GM. So Paxson had basically tearfully apologized to Pippen because things had fallen apart in that relationship, but like I think he was genuinely coming to him as both a teammate and an executive, quote unquote, boss and friend. And he said Paxson cried, but I didn't care. It didn't matter, because if he wanted to fix something, he would have fixed it then. And I was like, number one, why'd you put this in the book? Why did you talk about, like, genuinely, from a I'm not a guy, but I'm not as another guy talking about another guy crying to me, to put me myself in a position where I had to say, and I didn't care, right? I feel like you kind of break a bond that you would have with your with any friend to even be vulnerable with you. And I think that's where he kind of went wrong from the beginning. The tone of that, like almost that beginning, and mind you, I'm halfway in the book. It's very different than the rest, but because he set it off like that, you kind of get into the book, even though he's talking about some great things about his life and explains about a lot of things on like why he has the mentality he does. Like, I wouldn't put in the book John Paxson cried, I didn't give a fuck, basically, and here's my story. Like, you have you have now just put yourself in a corner that you can't really come out of, without writing another book or doing a public apology to Paxson, to let the rest of the world know, or rest of your friend circle know that you've come back to Earth. So I'm gonna leave it like that. But Jeremy, I know you didn't get to read that portion, but
Tomorrow.
you didn't take my word for it that this actually happened. I'm not making it up. What is your, like? I know you have a lot of historical background about like the Bulls and that situation with between John Paxson and Pippen, and then you could talk about like how you feel about him actually divulging in the book that sort of like emotional vulnerable conversation that he had with Paxson that he kind of like blew off.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what's the question again? Where do I start off?
Like, what do you remember about Pippen post player, like when he was with the Bulls as whatever his title was, but during the John Paxson um era.
Yes, I know Scottie finished his career
Mhm.
in Chicago. A lot of people think it was Portland, but it was actually.
Right. That's what he brings up.
But at that time, Chicago was so terrible, and Pippen was, dare I say it, washed up, that no one cared.
Right.
So even I forgot that at one point that he finished in Chicago. You know what reminded me that he was on Chicago?
But
The damn video game.
oh.
NBA
Okay.
2000, NBA Alive '04.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what reminded me. I was like, wow, he was.
Mm.
So they brought him back. Um, throughout the years, like he did one of the you know how they have also weekend and they bring like some of the veterans back.
Yeah.
Remember he did something with Chicago, that the skills challenge, I think it was,
Okay.
couple years ago. So clearly, the organization did not forget about him. And then I know I sent you the joke yesterday where the meme said that Scotty said the Jumpman logo was actually
Yeah.
not not Jordan, and I said it's like, this reminds me of the for those who grew up in the '90s. I don't know if you remember "A Living Color," Keen
Yeah.
Ivory Wayne's skit with Little Richard when he claims that everyone stole from him. That's what Pippin's behavior reminds me of right now.
Right.
Um, And I don't think this, Scotty Pippen is tripping. I know I borrowed that from ESPN. He is tripping. And some people will like to argue that's his truth. No, it's not his truth. It's what he ever concocted in his head
Mhm.
after, The Last Dance came out. Because if he really was, you had beef like that as a man, would have said this shit years ago. Not because of
Right.
documentary came out, and then what are you getting mad at Jordan for? Like, I disagree that he said that Jordan put himself on a pedestal and pretty much quote unquote what he said like save the day. No, like if you're talking about the Last Dance, which was Chicago's last championship run, it starts with Jordan. Without Jordan, there will be no championships.
Right.
If they had, they could have easily. Let me not say easily, but the way Kraus was moving and he was trying to get like some key pieces. So if you had paired Jordan with some of the plays that he was trying to get, Kraus was targeting during that time, Chicago would have won a couple of championships. Maybe not six, but they probably would have won like maybe two or three.
Right. Right. So I want to just mention something that he said in chapter 5, which was kind of interesting, but connected to what you said, is that he believes that Jordan and who was the coach before Phil?
Doug
Doug
Collins.
Doug Collins held him back career wise, and was a part of the reason why he wasn't much better, and probably a lot of the reason why a lot of his other teammates weren't better. And then he said that he was obviously more fortunate than everyone else.
It wasn't good enough. Plain and simple. They wasn't they wasn't good enough. If you read the Jordan rules, it even goes into chapter 1 when chapter 1 picks off when Chicago just got eliminated by Detroit
Right.
in the '90 conference finals, game 7. Pippen's migraine headache, and Jordan was. I think he was talking with Sam Smith, the one who wound up writing the book, and he said that out of everyone on the team, Scotty and Horace had the talent, didn't take it serious, and that used to drive Jordan crazy. But
Hmm.
meanwhile, you have a player like John Paxson who doesn't have talent, but he tries hard, and that's one thing that he respected about him. So Scotty held Scotty back. Jordan never held Scotty back. Um, I know Jordan didn't trust him, so he would go on these scoring blitzes.
Right.
So I don't know if that's what Scotty means by Jordan holding it back.
Well, he said Jordan because Doug Collins
That's a star player. This is the
and
'80s.
yes, so a lot of his anger is placed towards favoritism for Jordan. He didn't want Jordan well, he said that they didn't make it a point to make sure the rest of the team got opportunities to get the ball. He said that like there are occasions where after a game, Doug would send Jordan home, or say Jordan didn't have to practice while the other team
Yep,
did have to practice, and that bothered him.
yep.
And
That was in the Jordan rules too. Again,
yeah,
everything that Scotty is bringing up, it seems like Scotty wants to bring up beef from the '80s
he
and
is.
not from Chicago's championship run of the '90s. This is
He
from what it looks like to me so far.
Yes, he is. But I wanna not jump all the way on him in a terrible way, because I feel like some of this thing is psychological. So the reason why, and I kept asking you in the last episode, like we need a psychologist on there, is because there are some key parts that made
Psych
me,
major.
yeah, right there, you.
Mhm.
that I thought that we needed to bring to light. So Scotty talks a lot about his upbringing. Obviously, you got to start from the beginning in a lot of the
Mhm.
books, but I think his upbringing is the cause for why he is like this. Um so he starts off the book talking about when his mother, who was wonderful in all ways, that she described, really tried to make sure that the family was taken care of, and Pippin was part of a very large family. He talks about his brother becoming paralyzed
Yep.
in the very first chapter of the book. The A bully at school punches the brother in the back. The brother goes to the hospital, spends months there. Is probably tortured there. That's what they infer in the book. And then his mom ends up bringing the son home, and the family pretty much takes care of the brother. He talks about the father the father getting a stroke, and then the whole family coming together to take care of the father. And so to me, there was a theme there in that there as he grew up in a situation where everybody did everything as a unit, and everyone, no matter what, participated on an equal level, right? And so being exposed to something like Michael Jordan getting credit for something, I think is triggering to him, because the the other way around, which is the ultimate version of teamwork, is really sparked around trauma from his childhood. Like the teamwork it took to raise his dad. He talked about his dad having to be changed and things like that, and they have the whole family have to do it. And his brother too, getting helping his brother get over the post traumatic symptoms of being like tortured in a basically a mental institution. All of that leads literally up to why I think he's really, really, really having this outburst. Like, he can't conceptually understand
Midlife
that.
crisis.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a midlife. I think it's just like, hey, this is not how it should be. Everybody's equal, no matter what. And that's why he also toes the line, basically saying he was just as good as Jordan, but never got the chance.
He never was good as Jordan. He got his chance in '94,
Mhm.
and you pull up his numbers, and his numbers was similar to Jordan's Wizards numbers
Right.
when Jordan was on the decline after the injury, after he tore his meniscus. So I'm lying by, and it's not just about scoring. The scoring is the most important part of the game. This is
Right.
what brings fans in. If we're in a park, right, and we're playing, you about to pick a team, best four guys, including yourself, on
Mhm.
the court, and you're trying to win because winner stays on. You're gonna pick the best scorers possible. You're
Right.
not gonna pick, and maybe one big man. That's just the rule of thumb. You grab one big man and you try to grab like the best scorers that you could get. We're not caring how much rebounds you're getting.
Right.
You're not caring how much assists you get.
Right.
The name of the game is to get this ball into that basket. That's all
Right.
that at the end of the day. So Scotty was just not good enough. Now he was good in college. He was good in college because he was playing in was it not even NCAA? It was
Right.
NAA, and I think that was a D3. I think it was either D2 or D3. It definitely wasn't D1. So
Yeah.
it was basically like unheard of. So he did mention in the last dance that he thought he could be better than Jordan, and he had his chance.
Right.
You could put Scotty's best numbers, and it would be Jordan's worst numbers,
Mm.
scoring wise. It would be
Mm.
Jordan's worst numbers. So
Like,
when I look back at '94, okay, yeah, he averaged what 22, 23 points a game, and I can't remember the assists. I don't got the stats in front of me. Yeah, he had a good season, but that was just one season because I remember what happened the following season,
right.
94, 95, the season that no one talks about. Scotty was average. Chicago was mediocre. So he blew it.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think you're on target, a little harsh, a little, but on target.
Hey, he bringing heat. I'm bringing heat too.
um, but yeah, I think that um I think your points are valid. I'm just trying to get to the root of why he's like this and willing to put his friendships on the line.
I think it is probably like stuff that was like pent up, and I think it's more of like part of the reason like the younger generation got exposed
Right.
to some of the stuff that Scotty did. I'm pretty sure, you know, the younger generation did not know much about Game Three. They don't. They definitely didn't know about the bad contract, and they definitely didn't know about the the surgery at the beginning of the season of 97 98. Because I remember the when they was like showing the commercials for the last dance, and one of the snippets was that Jordan said that Scottie Pippen was selfish. Now I was like, ooh, that didn't sound like fighting words. So I think that line right there, I think that's the line that set Pippen off, because then he quoted, it was selfish of Jordan to retire at the beginning of the season. I was like, bro, that's a
Yes.
low blow. Like, the man's father died. Like, you can't go low.
Okay, so that's a interesting point. So I want to bring up something else that he brought up in the book, which is the friendship relationship between Michael Jordan and why he thinks it was strained. And I want to bring up that particular topic about him leaving the league before the season. So in the book, Scotty did mention that he thinks that Michael Jordan was selfish for leaving the Bulls right before the beginning of the season because
What was he supposed to do? And he was already contemplating it. Like, it's not like it was a surprise, because once again, I remember this was during the NBA Finals. I was visiting my grandmother's house, and she always had a newspaper, Daily News. So I'm flicking through the sports section, and there's an article that says that Jordan is thinking about retiring. I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, this is
yeah,
12-year-old. Like, nah, this isn't happening.
right.
Especially, the finals is right here. I was like, nah, Chicago's gonna win this year. Then, come back and do it again next year. And then, um, Jordan's father gets murdered, 2 months later,
Mhm.
and then, month and a half later he retires. So like everything was just like coming true. But when he said in the last dance, he was actually thinking about this since 1992 during the Dream Team. And the one thing that kept him back was, I mean, that kept him to stay was Bird, Magic, and Isaiah Thomas never three-peated. So that was Jordan's main goal. Like, okay, they never three-peated. I'm gonna try to win a three-peat, and then
Right.
we'll leave.
Right. So, um continuing with Pippin's relationship with Michael Jordan.
Mhm.
So he said that and this is with the theme of friends, right?
Mhm.
He said that in order to have friends, you need to be able to gain trust. And that's why his teammates are pretty much his best friends, because you spend so much time with them, growing trust on the court. Um,
Mhm.
think being able to lean on them, that sort of thing. And he said he missed two opportunities he believed in his life to be close to Michael Jordan. Right? Admittedly, he says their relationship isn't as close as he'd like it to be.
Mhm.
And he said there was one occasion where Michael Jordan invited him to go golfing, and Pippen was like, "I'm not doing it." His doctor had told him he shouldn't golf under any circumstances because of his back, so he's not gonna risk it. And he thinks that maybe he should have. even just went. And then
We know how much Jordan loves golf.
right, right. So I mean, in order to build friendships, you got to join people in their world. Like you can't just say, okay, we're gonna be friends, just hang out, and what are we gonna do? Watch TV? Like, like we gotta have a similar interest. So he said he never did that. And then the second opportunity, which I thought was like, oh man, that is kind of Pippin. So
He's kind of full of it because this just popped in my mind. Uh, Pippen used to work out at Jordan's house. Him, Pippen, and
really.
Ron Harper, their clique was called the Breakfast Club, and they used to work out at Jordan's house in the morning. I
He
bet
must
you
have
he never
forgot.
ran the book.
He must have forgot about that. Maybe it's in later
Uh,
chapters in the book. I need to continue reading maybe.
mhm.
But he never mentioned that. But
Of course he did.
the second time was when, Jordan's father unfortunately passed away. He said he didn't reach out to him.
BJ
When
Armstrong did.
Yeah, he said BJ Armstrong did, but Pippen said that, the team said that, people shouldn't really connect with him. So he went through Bulls PR to connect with Michael Jordan about the death of his father. And he said, being that he lost his father, maybe it should have been could have been an opportunity for him to connect with Jordan. And I was like, how many like games y'all play together? How many like trials and tribulations you've been through together? And like his dad passes away and you go through PR, bro? Like
Hmm. It's
you can't
it's
I mean, I
full of
don't
it.
know if they have text messages now, but you could have just called him, right?
Hmm.
You
Jordan
know?
gave him one of his cars.
Right. Right.
Yeah, 90s. I think it was in '97. I forgot what car it was. I think it was either a Porsche or a Ferrari.
Whatever car it
And
was, Michael Jordan
Jordan
gave
just gave
you
it
a
to him.
car.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta reach out to him. He's your brother, and you said that your teammates are your best friends. So why wouldn't you reach out to your quote unquote best friends if they suffered a tragedy like that? And I just, to me, I'm like, yeah, that's why people aren't your friend. Like, there's some social awkwardness there that
Hmm.
we're not acknowledging, that he's kind of putting on everybody else, like they are the blame for his shortcomings.
This
And
is everyone's fault, not mine.
he doesn't think that they're things that are his fault. But if they are things, like he did mention those 2 points, it's like, yeah, by the way, like his dad died, I didn't reach out to him, but I went through PR, and by the way, he did invite me out and I declined. Like, what else did you want? you
Mm-hmm.
know you know so yeah, those are the 2 points that I believe were really, really interesting in his first few chapters of the book, that really said to me, this is a much, much deeper than he's letting on to. But I don't think it's Michael Jordan's just the easy person to pin this on. And I'm not I know Michael Jordan receives a lot of favoritism. We could be biased right now, but they're, at the end of the day, like, you
Super. We all heard of the term superstar treatment. Like
right, right.
it goes on to this day. Oh, we see it with Kevin Durant,
Right,
LeBron.
right. Yeah, so why see, it's just not consistent. But there was something in the book that I thought was interesting, and it may tie a lot of these pieces together. So in the book, maybe around chapter 4 or 5, he starts talking a lot about Horace Grant, but basically him and Horace were BFFs.
Yes.
So it would, to me, that was interesting, because any slight to Horace is going to be a slight to him as well. Any slight to him is going to be a slight to him as well. So he's just probably taking on all the anger between Horace Grant and himself, and pointing it towards MJ, because I think MJ said that. What was it in the Last Dance? He talked about with Horace Grant.
He said Horace was the one who snitched, who basically told Sam Smith everything that's in the Jordan rules.
Right.
Jordan accused Horace Grant of being the snitch.
Yeah. So that's and then Pippen goes into a whole rant about how Michael Jordan had mentioned some of his teammates were doing drugs in a lock uh, like
Yeah,
you know
and that was in what episode one. So, but I wouldn't call that snitching because we all knew. Okay, not we, because the younger generation again did not know.
right
But it was no secret that in the 70s and early 80s that a lot of professional athletes, not just
right
NBA players, NFL, um, baseball players, they're doing drugs, they're doing cocaine,
right
having orgies and stuff like that. So it was nothing new. Or and it's not like Jordan was dropping names.
right
He just went to the locker room and not the locker room, the hotel room, and knocked on the door because he was looking for his teammates, and it got quiet and it was like, oh, it's the rookie, let him in.
yeah
And opened the door, he saw what was going on, and he was like, he wanted no parts of it because he's thinking about, okay, what if we get arrested or other
thinking
stuff.
about Len Bias.
Yeah, Lembies died the very next year
Yeah.
when that happened. He died the very next year. So, um, I wouldn't call it snitching. I mean, that's just the shit that was going on, and if you had to be like living under a rock if you didn't know that
Right.
this was going
Right.
on. Then it probably goes on today, and just like the Instagram model talking about, she done took on pretty much the whole Phoenix Suns team.
Right.
It was in the bubble, so this stuff still goes on.
So some of yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are the fiery type of things that happen in the beginning of book Jeremy.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, like the prologue was so long, and it was just a filled rant
Mhm.
against the Last Dance that I almost was like, I feel like I'm finished. Like I don't want to read them.
Yeah.
Like literally.
And I saw something today on Facebook,
Mhm.
and I think in the book he mentioned something about Kobe, how he wished that he could have played with Kobe. So I'm reading the comments, and someone was like, "How the hell you badmouth Jordan,
And then want to
but
play
then
with
you say you
Kobe.
want to play with someone who passed the ball even less?"
It's just anything but Jordan, and I think it's like the whole like Jan Brady thing, with the Brady Bunch, like always she was
Oh,
always
that's a good one. Yes,
you
Marsha,
know,
Marsha,
the
Marsha. Yeah.
Marsha, sorry, the Marsha Brady thing,
Mhm.
right? He doesn't like the fact that people like Michael Jordan and don't equally say, "Hey, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, like Judd Bush."
No,
He wants
we
them to
not.
say all 15 and the G League. It seems every time they mention Michael Jordan in
It
it,
doesn't work. It doesn't work like
right?
that. Like when we speak about Magic Johnson, we, you mention Kareem, and
Right,
then maybe some might mention Worthy, but
right.
nobody's mentioning Rambus and um, Byron Scott and Terry Teagle and who else is on the team? Having a mental block right now. Or Larry Bird. We're not talking about Dennis Johnson and Robert Parrish. Maybe we might mention McHale, but
Well,
we're not mentioning Cornbread Maxwell. We're not mentioning those players.
it's so listen, it's almost been 25 years since they've played
When they
more.
last championship, yeah.
Yeah. And this it's so hot in his heart right now that it's just to me it's just un unusual. Like most people
I think
are
it's I
go
think
ahead.
it's I think it's fake. Cause
Fake?
there's a video going around right now. I mean, it's been going on for years. Jordan is at a game in the press booth or whatever, skybox, and Pippen comes. And the greeting that they gave each other, that was genuine. They ran, they hugged, and Jordan's pointing to like, oh look, so and so's over there. That was like a genuine like uh
Right. So
greeting.
where's all of this coming from?
Exactly. Jordan
Yeah.
had Pippen at his camp too. I
Yeah.
posted that video. I posted that video last week.
It's just it's really coming left field. He should have said something earlier if he was this bothered, but maybe the last dance triggered him. Maybe it was just like, hey, like this is opportunity for everyone to see us as a team. But no, this is not Michael. This is not us as a team.
Which like they could do a documentary about 96. 96. This was particularly about 1998. And I remember the drama that went on in 1998, and Pippen played a big part in that drama because his ass decided he wanted to take surgery at the
Mm.
beginning of the season so he doesn't ruin his summer. Now, who's the selfish one now?
Oh, so we need to bring that up because he did mention that in the book about maybe I should have taken surgery before, like, he
You know who
says
never would have did that? Kobe. Kobe would have never took surgery at the beginning of the season.
you know.
He probably
Uh
would have and still try to find a way to play.
yeah. And like there was one other point that I thought that was like, oh, well, he mentioned in the last dance that the was it when when he sat out? What year was when he sat
Nin-
out?
94.
Oh,
The
there
Tony
was
Kukoc, right?
no, there was something that was in the last dance that he said
97.
shouldn't have been there because Michael Jordan wasn't playing on the team at that point. Michael Jordan was playing baseball.
So
And
it's
so
1994.
oh,
94.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Yes, he said Michael Jordan was playing baseball. That shouldn't have been part of the last dance. And he wonders why Michael Jordan even put that in there.
Why
Um,
not? Because it all actually Scotty is wrong because what was one of the main stories of that 95-96 season? Jordan's first full season back playing baseball. Is he the same player? Is he the best
right,
player in the world still? Because remember, Orlando knocked him off. You
right,
had Shaq and Penny. That was the next team that was supposed to be it. They was dubbing them the next coming of the second coming of Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Jordan still trying to, hold on to his reign as the best player in the world. So that was like one of the themes for 96. And that's the team that Jordan wanted in the playoffs.
right,
He didn't run. He wanted Orlando, and he got his wish in the conference finals. And Orlando and Chicago, there were two top teams in the East, and matter of fact, top three in the league because it was Chicago, Seattle, and Orlando. Those are the top three teams. All of them won over 60 games,
right,
and he swept them. He swept them, and um that was like a big thing because of him just coming back from playing baseball.
right,
And yes, that does belong in the last dance because you can't tell the story of Chicago's second three-peat. Matter of fact, you can't even tell the story of Chicago's six championships without even mentioning that.
right.
Because Chicago probably would have won 8 or 9 because
That's true. That's
I
true.
believe that they would have won that shortened season in versus San Antonio. And if anything, I think that would have been their easiest. I think that would have been the easiest ring.
Well, all in all, Jeremy, I think this whole book was basically because he felt he needed more highlights in.
He's in his feelings.
Yes,
We
he's
didn't
in his
forget.
feelings. He's in his feelings. He thought he needed more highlights in the book, in the series. And in his book, he just points out certain games where he had to step in and save Jordan or save the team because Jordan wasn't shooting well, or
That
I
happens with that
yeah,
happens with everybody. I could think of a couple of games right off the top of my head right now, without even the help of the internet.
right.
Game three of 1993 conference finals versus the Knicks.
Hmm.
He shot, I think he was like 2 for 19 or 2 for 21. He came right back and dropped 54 the following game. Um, there was that was the first one that came to mind. Um, there is quite a few. That's the first one.
Right.
That's the first one I could think of.
Yeah,
There's
there are a few,
no-
and he mentions like one, like in what series he was playing the Lakers, he had to come in and guard Magic
Oh
because
yeah,
Magic,
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Hey,
right.
let's touch base. I need to set the record straight, and if any of y'all wants to smoke on this topic, bring it, because there's
Mhm,
nothing that no one can tell me anything. And I rewatched the entire series,
mhm.
game to game, from game one to game five. There's nothing you can't tell me. Scotty did not guard, and I wish I could go at Max Kellerman. I think I might at him on Twitter. Because I remember he did say um the series shifted when Phil took Jordan off Magic and put Scotty, and that changed the direction of the series. That is false.
Mm.
Scotty only guarded Magic the first half of game two, and I think the second half of game four. That's it. Jordan was the primary defender on Magic,
On
and the
Magic.
only reason why Phil Jackson even did the switch was because Jordan got into foul trouble. So
Right,
that's
he
why he
mentioned
put
that.
Scotty,
He
because
mentioned that.
Scotty had to guard James Worthy. Chicago had nobody for James Worthy, so
Mm.
Scotty had to guard James Worthy. But when he got into foul trouble, Phil Jackson put Scotty
Stood
on Magic,
Scotty
and
on Magic,
Jordan
yeah.
was on Byron Scott. Byron Scott was no offensive threat,
Right.
so that's why Phil did what he did. But no one talks about Game Three. Scotty fouled out guarding Magic, and Jordan was the one
Right,
who not only tied, because Scotty fouled out in the fourth quarter. Jordan was the one who tied the game, that running floater
right,
at the buzzer, and then he led them in overtime. How come no one talks about that,
right.
but they want to
Well,
talk about
how come Scotty
uh,
didn't mention that either, how he fouled
of course
out,
not.
and then right, he's not gonna mention that. And I
Well,
again, I don't wanna huh?
Jordan averaged 11 assists. He averaged 11 assists in that finals.
Right.
He was right behind Magic.
You know, I just
Well, and
again, just
at one point, he was leading in assists until Magic got the edge at the last game.
just to round it out,
Mhm.
this is just a lot of uh, wanting attention, personal attention, but then saying it's a team effort. I think he's between the two sides,
Mhm.
and it's just I don't know. I think it's definitely a the source is definitely his childhood and how he grew up.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
not blaming himself for or holding himself
Basic.
accountable, sorry, for certain things. Because when I'm telling you, when you get into this book, Jeremy, I know you just you're it's gonna be delivered. When you get to the part where he talks about missing 11 of 12 free throws in a row at like there was this stretch when he missed a lot of free throws, and he said, yeah, like I
Scotty,
was, yeah, yeah, in this
his free
kind
throw
of,
was horrible. But if I keep talking about it, I got something for you.
yeah, he said he was
I'm
in
gonna
a
send it to you.
slump, and but the real blame for that free throw slump that Scotty was in was Michael Jordan and Doug Collins, that it was their fault, because this is what he said, it was their fault because the way they ran the offense, um, as him and Horace Grant would put it, they were just running up and down the court like, deers, like animal. They didn't have a purpose on the team. So by the time it came for him to shoot his free throws, he was always cold. He hadn't taken enough shots. So it
Oh,
was
shit. Aren't you a pro? You get warm ups.
he said that's the reason why. So I was like, oh, Michael Jordan is also the reason why you miss free throws, friend. Okay.
So is he going to blame Jordan for the migraine headache too?
I mean,
I'm waiting
listen,
for that
I
one.
haven't got I'm still in chapter 5. Chapter 6 through
Mhm.
100. It might blame Michael Jordan for the migraines. But but yeah, he really went there.
Everybody's fault.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
everybody's
I,
fault.
I just sent it to you. He was not the best free throw shooter. He wasn't. Because what I just sent you, this is under Phil Jackson's reign. And up at to this point, oh, matter of fact, this is 94 when he was the man. And he shot at that point was his career low.
In free
Is
throws.
that Jordan's whole thing? Yeah, I just sent it
I'm,
to you. Check your
I'm gonna
check
I'm
your
gonna put it up on the screen for everybody. So Jeremy just sent me some stats for um actually let me put it up on the screen first because that's the way this
yes, I am
works.
not biased. I speak the truth. I give whole facts.
So
Whole
he definitely said that this is his fault, Michael Jordan's fault. That his free throw percentage is so low, that they basically, um, you know,
yes.
didn't run the offense for him enough so that he could be able to shoot his free throws better. So maybe we're talking about those preceding years, 91, 92, but
Three.
yeah, Scotty, in 93, it was Doug Collins and Michael Jordan's fault why his free throws weren't great during a certain stretch because he wasn't warm. They were only running the offense for Michael Jordan. To be honest, look, I get that. I think they did run the offense for primarily Michael Jordan because he's the star. But like to say that your free throws could have been better if they gave you more, if you're that type of player, then maybe you aren't as good as you'd say
As
you
you
are,
think you are.
right? So yeah, interesting numbers. Jeremy, thanks for pulling that together real quick. Um, yeah, he definitely has a lot on his chest. I'm excited for the rest of the book though. It's really it made my skin crawl the beginning, and not because I'm pro Jordan, but it's because he exposed personal conversations, and that conversation with Paxson with
Which he
your
didn't have to do because Paxson
yeah,
was like genuinely worried about being able to keep his job.
right, right, right. It was a very vulnerable thing for him to do. He went out of his way to find Pippen, to
Mhm.
talk to Pippen, and you put in your book, I didn't care that you were crying. He's no, he literally said, I waited for him to finish crying and just really because I didn't care. And then
But
asked
he's
him
the
why.
so-called but he's the so-called better teammate, the real
Yeah,
teammate.
he's a better teammate. So yeah, there's much more to uncover. I don't think that he he'll have to make a public apology at some point when he gets to the source of where this anger is. Um,
Maybe when the book doesn't sell as much.
maybe, but maybe not. I don't know what the numbers are. I guess we can run them later in the week and find out how many people bought it. But like the key players, which is Michael Jordan. He even said uh, he inferred that Steve Kerr was also one of the members of the team that were not really pleased with the Last Dance. I don't believe that. I think this is mostly him and Horace Grant, and again, that's a surprising friendship that I didn't really knew existed. But they're consistent with each other. They both have problems with Jordan, and so maybe
Well, their
that's
problems their problems stemmed from again the '80s because Jordan's beef with Grant was he was too soft.
yeah,
He was too soft. So you know how Jordan would like get on people, and that's where Horace Grant issues is coming from. But then also Jordan calling him basically a snitch.
right,
That's not gonna them is fighting words
yeah.
in the hood. So
Maybe again, get the book when you get the book. Want your perspective? I really think this is tied into the childhood thing. It's tied into even talking about his brother and the bullying thing. And I think he equates Michael Jordan to being a bully. And so when he puts everything together, it's like this bully, it, took away a lot from me, just like the bully in his brother's incident
yeah,
took a lot of his life away.
that is some deep psychological thing because Scottie Pippen basically owes his as soon as you get it, post it, please.
Yeah. Post it, please.
Um, basically he owes his career accomplishments to Michael Jordan. If he never came to Chicago, he would have been um he wouldn't have been half the player he would have been. He
Right.
probably maybe a 2-3 time All Star, if that. Because how many times he made All Star? Like 7 time All Star.
Yeah.
He would make like maybe half of that.
If that, because there's a certain thing that you get from your other teammates, like work ethic. Like if
Mhm.
Jordan definitely made them work hard. He just did not like a peer player to be like lauded or at the top. He talked about Doug Collins saying, like he asked Doug what we're gonna do in like this practice run or whatever, and Doug would respond, whatever we think Michael will do. Now, by the way, I think that he has a point with some of Doug Collins's actions,
And
but
his
like,
beef would be with Doug Collins, but
yeah,
also Phil Jackson was assistant.
right,
Phil Jackson and Tex Winters were the assistant coaches, and they try to implement the triangle offense. Doug Collins wanted no parts of it, and pretty much, if you look at Chicago's roster,
hmm
like for example, after they got rid of Orlando Woolwich, um, I think it was the playoff series. I think the second one with Boston. You know who Chicago's second leading scorer was?
who?
Charles Oakley.
Yeah,
Charles Oakley was the second leading scorer. Now, tell me, what is Jordan doing
right,
with that Chicago's roster? Not a damn thing. No one is
right,
doing anything. But that's the season that he averaged 37. And then the
right,
following season, he averaged 35. This is Pippen's rookie season.
mm,
Pippen and Grant. And Grant was more into the was getting more playing time than Pippen at that time. Um and Scotty, he had to like build himself up. And Doug Collins, he did rely a little bit too heavily on Jordan because he felt like he had no other choice. And when you look at that roster, you're like, oh my gosh, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
who's who
Maybe next episode we take a look at the rosters every year during the six
never.
championships.
I
And just
can send you one right now. I can say I keep this in my phone when I go after
you go after
certain
the certain
yes.
certain individuals and certain groups.
Oh yes. And And I love this screenshot because basically it is when we want to say uh Jordan's 1-3 record, right?
Hmm.
I just sent it to you. That's an actual screenshot from game number 2 of the 86. That's when he dropped 63. That's the lineup.
Hold on, I gotta show
Pull
everybody.
that up. Put, let the world see.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this. The This is what year?
86.
Okay.
When he just came back from the broken foot. That is the lineup for game 2. Look
Jordan
at Austin
Reese.
and
Yeah.
look at
Oh my gosh.
McGregor. It is no
That
wonder he got swept. It's amazing
right,
that Jordan even got helped them go into double overtime. Okay, remember he also dropped game 1. He dropped 49, and Bill Walton was candidly talking about it, and they was like, "Oh, we bet he won't do that again." You're right. He dropped 63 the next one,
right, right.
and then he
Mm,
almost had a triple double in game 3, but he fouled out.
right. Let's. I think for next episode, we definitely gonna go through the rest of the book, but
Mhm.
let's also focus on certain things. I would love to go back to this series and just focus on how Jordan tried to drag this team. Let's compare them to another team because people always say that
LeBron's
LeBron had to drag
nah,
the 2000, what was it, 2003,
7
2007, sorry.
2007 Cavs, which is again false.
BS.
Because Ilgauskas was a two-time All-Star up to that point. You had Larry Hughes, who I know he led the league in steals. I think like a season or two before he came to Cleveland. Um, who was else on that squad? Was Carlos
Listen,
Boozer? No, Carlos Boozer left.
it
Boozer,
wasn't
Boozer.
even Carlos Boozer. Let's not tease that episode yet because
Oh yeah,
they're gonna say that all then any names that you name aren't what you call it. They aren't superstars. And
yeah. It's
that
because, but my retort is that you don't know basketball. That would
right,
be my report to someone who says like, if you looking for just superstars, then no, you just a casual fan. You don't know shit about the game.
right. So let's look at this because I've done maybe like 3 or 4 podcasts that
Mhm.
focus on these 2007 Cavs and why people believe that they were garbage and they weren't.
Number one.
They were put together. The GM work there was great. I'll put that. They
Mhm.
put the right players together and it was successful. But let's
But
compare.
a team can't be garbage if they're 50-32, the number 2 seed in the East, and the 7th best record in the league.
Right.
I don't want to hear that they was garbage.
Let's do our notes because I
Mhm.
want to compare them to this Jordan team and
Yes,
see like what whose team was more garbage, right?
86 Bulls.
You know, we're gonna go through all the quote unquote successfully garbage teams.
Mhm.
Like what do you define as garbage? Is it you got one superstar, no superstars? What's but
A
before
few
we leave,
nobodies. If anyone, the one who deserves credit, Allen Iverson and the '01 Sixers.
mm,
But that
oh
was a decent squad too. It wasn't just Iverson. What was it? What was the shooting guard name? McKee.
yeah,
Yeah,
no wait, is it? Yeah. McKee.
yeah. McKee. Eric Snow was
Eric
backup, I
Snow.
believe.
Eric Snow.
Tyrone Hill. They
Mm.
had Mutombo, but that was like rebounding and defensive purposes.
Now we're gonna go through all the superstars and their quote unquote garbage squads. Like
Oh, Elijah won in '94.
yeah, who was um did Kobe ever have a garbage squad?
Some people might say yes if you want to look at now which year, when the year that he won or the year that they was getting their ass kicked by Phoenix.
I mean, we can look at either, but
I would say that year that I think that was like '06, '06, '07. Yeah, he did have a team where they lost in the first round to Phoenix. By then, the Suns were the superior team.
let's do this. We're gonna pick your years of
Mhm.
and teams. We'll pick the '06.
I'll have a poll.
Yeah, we're gonna have a poll with that, and we're gonna put I'm gonna try to not put the year. Let's make. I'm gonna see if we can not put the year and see, is this a garbage squad, and
Mm.
let people determine that during the week. So let's pick 5 of them offline and um determine what is garbage, but we'll also get your opinion of the book. I hope you should get Audible. But if you, I know you like to hold the pages in your hand and go through it, so you can
Yeah,
go
I'm not
through.
gonna sit there and listen to that. Might put me to sleep or something, or
Uh-huh. Listen,
watch
I'm going
TV.
through this and I'm just like, "What?" Like, I'm getting ready for the show. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so Michael Jordan's the reason why you missed free throws?" No, like it's just like it allows me to
All the
multitask, but
responsibility to your for yourself.
yeah. But
Hey, I miss free throws in games. I'm not blaming my teammates.
he blamed Michael Jordan for the reason why he missed those free throws. But anyway, let's wrap it there. I think we have our marching orders for the next episode.
Oh,
And
before we go, the thoughts of are you noticing a trend of old school basketball slowly making its way back?
how so?
Physicality seems to be coming back.
Oh, you talking about the fight?
Yeah, Rudy Gobert and what's his name? They was in a tussling match, and then LeBron and Isaiah. So I'm just like, wow,
I mean,
it's coming back to the '80s and '90s. I love it.
if you
Need some
call it
more.
a tussle, if you call it a tussle, you know, if you
Which was
call it.
accidental. I don't think LeBron is a dirty player. I don't. I never got that vibe off him. I mean, anyone that plays ball, anyone who's watching the show that plays basketball, you know those things, those type of things happen, and at the heat of the moment, you know it it could go left real quick. I remember one time I was out here in Brooklyn. There used to be this gym that was called Hoopland.
Oh
So
yeah.
everyone would come down here to play ball. So we all, just playing and stuff like that. And I remember dude on the other team that we was playing against, he grabbed the rebound, and he liked to grab the rebound and have his elbows like this, and then he's going like this. So it just so happened when he grabbed the rebound and he happened to go like that, and he just missed me. So I pushed him. I mean, like, yo, watch the goddamn elbows. Next thing you know, it's about to be a whole brawl between me and this dude, and everyone like separating us back. And I was like, yo, we could take this shit outside. Like,
Right. Right.
what up? Like, so these things, it does happen.
It
So,
it does.
but what Stuart got to know, you don't touch the golden goose.
But he didn't do it. I mean, he was the one that got hit.
Yeah, I know he's the one who got hit, and blood is gushing on his face, stuff
So
like
why
that.
we warning the guy that got
No,
hit?
because at the end of like Gilbert Arenas said it, because I saw what he said the next day. He was like, "Yo, bro, you about to find yourself packed up,
You
sent
mean
like middle of nowhere."
the running after him part?
Yes, like you can't touch the golden goose. Like in this case, you're not gonna do that to LeBron. You're not doing it to KD, and you're not doing that to Curry. Just like how back in the '80s, he wasn't doing that to Jordan.
So what did you think he should have done?
No. Hey, it's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All
Yeah.
I'm saying is that
And I'm not condoning
Hmm.
violence. I'm just saying, like, yeah,
He is
he
showing
was
heart.
pissed. And
Yes, he
it
was.
was
As
hard.
he, and he had the right. He had the right to be
He
pissed.
had the right to do it. Well,
And it's like the more he got mad, the more blood seemed to be coming out.
the blood was like, "Oh my god, I got
Mhm.
nowhere to go. This guy is
And
not
then he's gonna walk off, like he's gonna pretend to walk off, and then
has
he
to
just gonna
walk
turn
off."
around
He
and
when they put the coat, then he's like,
just sprint.
"Ah!"
And
You know.
LeBron just looking, and it's like Westbrook was like about to throw his hands up, like, "Yo, bro!" Like
Westbrook always got his teammates back.
always,
Always got his teammates
always.
back. Right?
Westbrook was more with the shits than LeBron.
And LeBron was like, "What?"
And Melo too. Melo on the low, like, dude. I saw another clip. Piston players came over, so Melo was talking to the refs, and he was like, "He's not coming back here. He's not coming this way." And then the Piston player coming, and he was like, "Yo, bro, why are you here?" Like
Right.
he went and calls the dude. Like I thought he was about to snuff him. He
Right,
like,
right, right, right.
remember,
Listen,
Melo is from Brooklyn. He's from Red Hook. I mean, that's
yeah,
where he was born. He grew up in Maryland. What? He's Brooklyn. He's a Brooklyn kid.
yeah.
You
But
know, Brooklyn, we don't take that.
they don't, but again, LeBron I heard was looking for him to apologize.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it's true or not because
No.
you know how they try to paint um LeBron as being perfect. And I love when Stephen A. Smith sometimes when he was like, hold up, and then he'll have on the bottom of the screen, LeBron is a good father, loving husband, and everything that is not related to basketball before he says, and that's the thing, like some of these crazy things that I'll see, they're like, I'm like, what does LeBron doing stuff outside basketball, what does that have to do with his performance on the court?
Gotta
It
build it
it
up. Gotta
doesn't
build
it
it up.
doesn't matter.
Gotta build him
I
up.
could care less. I could care less if he's doing that.
Gotta build
That's
him up.
it's two separate topics. It needs to be separated. Like he's not the only one who did it. Jalen Rose got a whole damn charter school, but no one hardly talks about that. David Robinson got his own school. Um, Jordan was putting kids through college and stuff like that, but stuff like that don't get broadcast.
Yeah.
LeBron, I think, because I think of his background. I mean, well, you know, the way that he grew up without no father. I feel like every time he does something, it's sort of like, hey, world, look at me. I'm like, nah, sit your ass down. Like, okay, if you're doing a good deed, do it in private. Like, it doesn't have to be broadcast. I've done plenty of good shit, and I'm not looking for the world's approval.
Yeah.
I was a
I
mentor.
mean,
No one knew that. I was a mentor. I was mentoring kids. I'm not
there
broadcasting that.
there could be a whole set of reasons why his stuff is broadcast and the others aren't.
Part of it
But
is him.
maybe we
He
can bring
loves
that
the
to light
limelight.
here.
He's a
We
diva.
can
He's a diva on the low.
we can look for the other schools that other
Mhm.
players have, and
Mhm.
let's show those off.
Yes.
Maybe it's because the media doesn't think it's gonna generate clicks, so maybe we're low key. We don't need it. So let's
Mm,
go find the schools and see if we can
big
big
that
them
up.
up. Yep.
Because a
So
lot of them do like you know, good deeds. I know Jordan's. He got the clinics opening up and involved in like 13 different charities over the years. I know what Jalen Roses did for for Detroit. David Robinson, his charter school out in San Antonio. Um, who else got? Yeah, I just had a mental block. I have a list of players in my. I'm just like blacking out right now.
again, let's put them together and we'll talk about it and we can highlight one next week. We can
Mm.
talk about
A
Jalen's
low key
school
one, a low key one.
low
Let me
key.
see what my man Dominique Wilkins is doing.
Yeah, yeah, let's see what all of them doing,
Right.
right? Maybe we could get a couple of them on the show to talk about their schools, you know?
That'll be great.
Yeah.
That'll definitely be great.
Okay, so let me cue it up. Um, that's the end of the show. We haven't named. And
Oh, we supposed to have a name this week.
we were
Oh,
supposed to have a name this week. Damn it! Next week. We're gonna have an
Untitled?
identity.
The
Huh?
Untitled?
Untitled. We got no chips.
No joke.
Untitled. Untitled because we got no chips.
Mm, yeah.
But with that said, I'm Trisha. This is Jeremy for our Untitled show.
Till next
Um,
week.
till next week. Peace.